Hello everyone and welcome. We are about to go live with a full SmackDown watch party with myself, Tom Colohue. Before we jump in, of course, and while we watch ourselves as then, now, forever, please do remember, if you can, please do support small streamers like myself with a thumbs up on that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. We've been growing pretty well in these particular videos recently, so anything you can do to help us grow, I would very much appreciate. We are opening with wrestling. I kind of expected this. We have Sheamus versus Solo Sikoa. Sheamus has been the bedrock of SmackDown for a while now. The fact that we're going straight into a match which basically shows that we're getting Fight Night Bloodline, at least in some incarnation, is a system I'm pretty happy with. Butch is looking more like Pete Dunne than ever before. And Sheamus, we know, as he always does, is about to have himself a banger. A great start to a show. Pretty much everything you could possibly want of a good old-fashioned SmackDown, just to get us started pretty quickly. We've got a few people in chat saying hi. We have ourselves a Connor saying hello, Tom. Hello, Connor. How the devil are you? Jaden says, hey, Tom, I'm back. Welcome back, Jaden. How you doing, mate? Simon is here as well, saying hello to Jaden. Also here, Simon. How you doing? Stuart Ridley says, starting with Sheamus versus Solo. Come on! Which I cannot argue with. I really can't. That is a perfect start. Bailey says, who will make it to April next year with the title? Roman Reigns or the new UK Prime Minister? If it's Boris, they're probably going to last, and that upsets me. We already have our first Bray Wyatt tease. He's here. I'll be interested to see if... yeah, commentary is still not reacting to the Bray Wyatt teases, but in that one it's just basically his way of saying, I'm here. Don't change the channel. Don't change the channel, because Bray Wyatt might be involved. Don't change the channel. Don't change the channel. I'm very good, thank you, Connor. Just having a good time in life in general right now, you know? It's a great time to be me, and it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. I hope you're good as well, mate. Megan here says, all hail the lettuce. To be fair, the lettuce should be Prime Minister. I believe that's how it works. It still upsets me that we never had Boaty McBoatface. I mean, that's the height of Britishness. Traffic is here as well, saying, good evening, Tom. And chat, welcome everybody. We had a scary good watch party last week, and by good I just mean that very well attended. We had 50-60 people in for most of it. I think a large part of that was the excitement about Bray Wyatt finally making his return. Certainly that is when it peaked. But at the same time, I've made some changes to the titles of the watch parties over the past few weeks, and it seems to be getting some dividends. Now, we didn't gain subscribers early on during spoiler warning. Apparently the news was not exciting enough, so hopefully SmackDown will be excited enough that we can get something going this time round. Sai says, haven't made it to one of these for a while. Thanks for running it, Tom. Evening all. Evening to yourself as well, Sai. Welcome to the show. Thank you very kindly for being here. It must be late for you as well then. I'm curious what brought this one up. Simon says, hey Tom, still not finished watching Impact from last night. On my third sitting in a 2-hour show. Some shows are like that, unfortunately. They are. Megan says, as regards to lettuce, it's clearly got the resolve and the staying power to last, yes, but can it unite the party and win a general election on the 2019 mandate? What will the lettuce do about Rwanda? That's the questions we need asked. Also, it's a lettuce, so it can't answer them. As such, put a wig on it for Boris, I'll vote for it. Connor says, is it true that Dave Meltzer said about Punk in talk with Tony about the non-compete clause in his contract? That Punk could be in talks with WWE? Yes, that is what Dave Meltzer said. I spoke about this earlier on spoiler warning. I'll happily reiterate. CM Punk is in talks now to write off his contract and buy his way out of it. Well, to have his way bought out of it, Tony Khan would be looking at a $2 million payment in order to make that happen, but CM Punk wants out, and Tony Khan seems to think this is the right move. Now, the non-compete would cover WWE. There is believed to be some interest from CM Punk in going to WWE, and Triple H isn't necessarily against it, though I wouldn't expect CM Punk to be treated too well upon his return. Hector says, okay, Tom, in kayfabe, how does one become more Usi? Asking for a friend. Well, to be fair, the Us is a blueprint. Roman Reigns is Us. The Usos are Us. So one Uso is more Us than the other Uso. Okay? Lots of Usness. So basically what you need as a Sami Zayn, for example, is to respect the line of Us recognise the oos, and then say the word oos. At that point, you're pretty much in. I reckon you can do it, Hector. I believe in you. A long plug for NXT Halloween Havoc there. Maybe they were watching Spoiler Warning and noticed my confusion earlier. Sean says, New Day versus Triple M, Miz versus Matt Riddle, and Ronda versus Natalya are the dark matches. Ronda Rousey was not formally announced, but you may have seen in the title that she is going to be there. Megan says, on the Scottish side of things, somewhere in Edinburgh, Nicola Sturgeon is loving this. Keir Starmer's having a great time as well. Like, they are genuinely loving every second of it. Solo Sikoa has been featured strong and heavy every week since he arrived at SummerSlam. He hasn't always won matches, but he's been consistently in matches. Going against Sheamus, he's a veteran, very experienced, and also knows how to make you look good. It's a good spot for him. Jaden says, haven't been able to watch the watch parties. It's so late down here. It's 2:05 in the morning. Jaden, I absolutely respect that. Thank you very kindly for being here. If you need to vanish at any point, you go right ahead. It's 1 a.m. here, and I struggle myself. Simon says, probably never happen, but imagine a promo showdown dream feud between Ring of Honor legends Owens and Punk. Owens and Punk's certainly something I'd be interested in, but they don't need to wrestle in the same company for it. You can always have promos online. Traffic says, over or under 2 for this SmackDown. We see a Bray Wyatt up next. I reckon we'll get more than 2 Bray Wyatts up next. I don't know if they'll necessarily promote him in the same way. Instead of putting the graphics up, I think we'll get a lot of, I'm here. Where is here? Are you in the boiler room? You're the dentist? I'm here. Yes, but where is here, Bray? Are you at home? That's here if you're there. Simon says, Ronda will probably be doing something on the show with Liv to promote their ongoing world title feud, like you said earlier. Seems the most likely, yes. Ronda Rousey just reminding people that she exists. Missed last week, but was expected back this week. Bailey says, when was the last PM from Scotland in Westminster, if ever? I do believe it was Gordon Brown. Not long. Connor says, here is clearly here, Tom, so here is here. So you're saying Bray Wyatt's also in my cupboard? Not sure what to do in these circumstances. Hard to say, Simon, but what I will say as regards to HBK versus Punk, HBK grew out of it. Sean says, Solo appeared at Clash at the Castle, Tom, not SummerSlam. Thank you for the correction there, Sean, I appreciate it. Oh, we're here. Connor, you are terrifying at times. Hector says, Tom, I saw that ESPN FC tweeted no club has had more Golden Boy winners than Barcelona. Is that essentially a Rookie of the Year per se for football? Yes. The European Golden Boy is essentially Rookie of the Year. And of course it's Barcelona. That's where all the greats at least spend some time there. We are into our first commercial break, 10 minutes in. So far, all we've had is Sheamus versus Solo Sikoa, and as such, I do have to declare this the best SmackDown that's ever happened. Because you're getting a guaranteed great match to open the show. There's not much you can really complain about, and nor would you. Solo Sikoa has that physicality of a Sheamus, of a Gunter, in many ways of a Roman Reigns, a Drew McIntyre, a Karrion Kross. There is this whole division being built right now around heavy hitters. Just people who know how to lay in a punch. And sometimes, to be fair, that's all you really need. It's a division I'm very excited about, I'll tell you that. If you are currently watching on YouTube, please remember to hit that thumbs up button. It does help us grow and help us get advertised, and I very much appreciate it. Justin Stevens says, will Alexa and Asuka return Monday to help Bianca? I don't know when they'll return, but I know it'll be fairly soon. Connor says, Tom, question. Do I eat a sausage roll or a Galaxy Ripple or a Kit Kat Chunky? Well, I hate you and everything you're standing for, but is it a chocolate fudge cake? Kit Kat Chunky? Because if so, that. If not, the Ripple. I'm not a savoury snack guy. I like it sweet. Sean says, Cody vs Seth at WrestleMania was released on WWE YouTube channel today. The best part, it has both entrances. Yet they know what they're doing. in the YouTube division over on the WWE YouTube. They very much know what they're doing. Jane says, I can't wait to hear what Ronda has to say. Do you think she's going to host an open challenge? She does it all the time. Probably not, no. But we'll see how it plays out. I mean, there are still plenty of people who could be used. Would be a good way to reintroduce someone like a Sarah Logan. Stuart says, all of them kind of live a little. I mean, that's not unfair. Not unfair at all. Hey Connor, how you doing, mate? How you doing? Normal Kit Kat chunky. See, I don't mind a chunky. I'm big on chunky, but you pick your moment, you know. Megan says, I got surprised by a snack. Turkey and stuffing crisps. They were quite nice. I'm immediately suspicious of what you just said there, Megan. I'm not sure I can trust someone who eats haggis. I'm assuming you eat haggis. Like, you're from Scotland. It's a delicacy there. You're going to be exposed to it, even if it's not necessarily something you eat. But I can't trust it, is what I'm saying. I'm going to bring my microphone a little closer. Bear with a second. Hopefully that means I don't have to speak too loudly. Oh, Connor, you disgust me. You disgust me. Simon says they were very delicious Kit Kat chunky with caramel in. I'm a salted caramel guy, so it could work for me. John says just got a Raw advertisement on TV. Still has Bobby as US champion and is advertising Rey Mysterio. They don't always update as well as they should. Oh, that was a brutal clothesline. Brutal. Yep, Megan definitely eats haggis. Connor says, I'm alright, bit tired, but 2 hours isn't a lot. Fair. Sometimes I really don't feel up to these watch parties, but when I sit down and watching the show and I'm talking to you guys, I suddenly feel a lot better. I always get very nervous before I click go live. Once I've hit go live, I don't feel nervous at all. I'm just doing my thing. But before that, I am terrified. Sheamus and Solo have really slowed down at this point. I'd imagine this match will basically cover our entire first half hour. SmackDown is pretty religiously broken into 3 nowadays. Oh, there's a lot of snot coming out of Sheamus. There's a lot of snot coming out of Sheamus. He's still stuck in his tash. The referee just communicated it. Just like, wipe your face, man. That was not fun. Feel bad for the guy. He is still bruised from his Why can't you just let Sheamus recover? He's still covered in bruises. Wow. Megan says, I do eat haggis. It's best with melted cheese and oatcakes. Oh. Still, Connor, you're mixing flavours. A bit weird. Megan is a fan of peanut butter Kit Kat chunky. I'm not a big peanut butter guy. Hector says, Goldberg was on a podcast recently where he said he has 2 months left on his deal when the light went off in his head. Light went off in my head when I realised Crown Jewel is in that time frame. Just hope we can get past these 2 months without him appearing on TV. 2 months are left. No matches are left. No matches at all. Simon says, what's Vince Russo's problem with Bayley Mustafa Ali? He's always bashing Bayley's fashion dress sense, where she's fashionable, very beautiful, gorgeous. Okay, Simon, a bit much there, but what I will say is, I mean, there are some pretty consistent giveaways of why he might have issues with those particular people. You can work this one out. Traffic says, I'm just as much to blame as anyone for sleeping on Sheamus for a while, but I'm glad he's finally getting recognition he deserves. He's been much of a workhorse throughout his career as much as anyone. Absolutely. Since his debut, he's been non-stop. He's got stop-start pushes. He's had some sustained pushes. But one thing is always guaranteed is entertainment. It's rare that you can say that. Do you think WWE will ever let Sheamus recover? He's still carrying bruises and cuts since his last one-on-one with Gunter. Let the man rest. Connor says, Sheamus got that cold that's been going around Ireland, I fear. Now that he's wiped it off, it's all good. It was an awkward moment. I feel for the guy. I feel for the guy. Sheamus dropping the beats. We're getting to a point now where it's sort of like the big swing from Cesaro. Solo dropped a lot faster than I expected there. Sign in the front row, banger after banger after banger, and absolutely. Traffic says, I think Sheamus low-key likes the bruises, he wears them with pride. Yeah, he'd got on very well with JBL during his time, I tell you that. Solo surviving at the moment. I love the knee, it's a very appealing knee. What confuses me is the fact that he chooses to use the knee when he could just use a bro kick. Oh, we got a brawl. And a good one at that. They are tipping the table onto, but that's at least different. Sheamus has been successfully distracted. Off the top. Not often you see that from Sheamus. Sami Zayn, however, survives. Lives to tell the tale. The distraction will probably be enough. Simon says, your prediction for Cora versus Roxanne. Roxanne. Very much Roxanne. I don't think I could be any more confident. I think Sheamus is about to lose, guys. Sheamus is about to lose, guys. Solo gets onto hard cam. Job done. Another big name suffering a big loss here. Triple H is very much establishing that big names can still lose. Sai says, I used to get the jitters when I did a show. Key to yours is that you know your trade, you have everyone rooting for you, and you don't treat it too seriously. You've built an authentic voice. Thank you very much, sir. That was a very nice thing to say. Yeah, don't... That is definitely good advice. Is don't take it too serious. It works for me. I'm half expecting Logan Paul to run out and side with Fight Night here and just end up in an 8-man tag match. I mean, Logan Paul's coming. We'll be aware to use him. Sean says, would WWE firing Bruce Pritchard hinder their chance of getting MJF to sign? I remember in interviews MJF talking about Bruce and MJF saying Bruce is one of his friends. Well, it depends on the circumstance. There is way too much going on there to be able to say yes or no. Also, we don't know if there are any chances of signing MJF. He has to sign a new deal, so right now there is no chance of signing MJF, regardless of who works there. Starting to suspect Sheamus might actually be getting written off a little bit. Like, that's a proper beating. And his arm does not look good, like genuine. Connor says, Liv's also been going into house shows and pay-per-views with bruises, especially since she's been doing table spots a lot right now. Thought I wish she got a week off to heal. I think everyone should take that week off, to be honest. Every now and then, just take a bit of a rest, and Sheamus more than most at this point in time. Hector says, I don't know if it happens, I'd be surprised, but over the past couple of years I'm convinced there needs to be at least one run of Sheamus as world champion before he retires. It would be highly deserved. Completely agree. We have our first up next. Bray Wyatt is going to give us a message. This is not a draw segment, so I am not confident of it. We have ourselves a Logan Paul Roman Reigns commercial. Of course, it's all about Saudi Arabia, but you get what you get. Megan says, looking at Solo's opponents since he came to the main roster, it's quite the good mix. Drew, Madcap Moss, Ricochet, Angelo Dawkins, Sheamus, and Rey Mysterio. It's a nice mix of big names and beatable names there. So, yeah, I'd agree there. Bailey says, Solo's been built up nicely as a long-term future head of the table, especially as Roman moves to a part-time schedule. There are a number of people who could be the head of the table. Jay's the obvious choice, but I don't think it's impossible that Sami Zayn ends up being our tribal chief. Like, it'd be weird. Like, don't get me wrong, it'd be weird, but I don't think it's impossible. Traffic is hype. Bray up next, number 1. Wonder how many we'll get. He'll be the main event segment, won't he? Simon says, me and my family all think either Boris or Rishi are getting the job as next UK PM. Yep, I agree with that. I think it'll be Rishi. Because he is the guy who can actually calm this whole thing down. I'm not convinced that Boris will run. I think essentially he's waiting to see if he gets the 100, and if he gets the 100, then he'll announce that he's running. I don't think he wants to come back yet. I think his entire plan was to come back at the next general election. Connor says this will be the brawling Bruce written off as Trips likes to do rotation of on-screen people. He does. Fair point. And that's a good way to do it. I mean, Sheamus has taken a firm beating. Give him a couple of weeks. Maybe write him off until after Crown Jewel now. And then bring him back ready for Survivor Series. That works for me. Simon says I'm going to actually support Bray in his possible world title feud with Roman because I actually prefer Bray to be a part-time Roman as world champ. We'll see how that goes. We're clearly not there yet. But when we do get there, and we'll get there, we'll see how it pays off. Sean says, Tom Colohue is our tribal chief. Acknowledge him. Thank you, sir. Bailey says, how weird would it be to have Sammy look into the camera and say, acknowledge me? That moment is going to happen. There is no question in my mind whatsoever. Sami Zayn will have that moment where he looks into the camera and tells the people watching at home to acknowledge him. It is guaranteed. The moment will not come where we don't get that. That is guaranteed. If you're new to the watch parties, please do remember to hit that like button, give us a thumbs up, and subscribe if you haven't already. We do watch parties every single week for SmackDown, and we do premium live event watch parties as well. There's usually quite busy shows, I've got to say. So be sure to stick around if you can. We also do spoiler warning on Mondays and Fridays news shows. The main news today was on the impending return of Vince McMahon. Megan says, part of me does think Trust deliberately tanked things to allow Boris to come back as a saviour of the nation, further feeding into his delusion that he's a modern Churchill. It just happened faster than anyone planned. I feel she was set up to fail. I don't necessarily think it was with his benefit in mind, but I do think she was set up to fail, and I think he intended to come back. He just wasn't ready to come back yet. Oh, Connor. Beastly, you go for it. Code Adrenaline says, I actually like Bray's new theme. Quite different from what you would associate with him. Yeah, a lot more positive. Like, it was proper major key. It was lovely. Also, welcome, mate. Traffic says, I hope the day comes where Roman forces Jay to acknowledge Sami as a member of the bloodline in front of the world. Again, I definitely think that moment will come. Definitely. Chris, Wrestling Views, welcome. Says, what's up, bro? Things are going very well for me, thank you, Chris. I hope you're good. What's up with you? Brad Becker says, Tommy, you're doing a watch along for NXT tomorrow. It's not in my plan at the moment. If I end up with nothing else to do, I'll probably do a watch party, but I'm not confident enough to say yes or no at this point. It's worth remembering, of course, that I have no idea what's going on in NXT most of the time. So if I get a message from a friend saying, hey, do you want to watch the show? I'll probably go and watch the show. But I wouldn't necessarily do it live on stream. We are getting ourselves a pretty hefty Rey Mysterio recap. Of course, we do sort of have to start pushing Rey Mysterio versus Gunther, because whenever it does happen, it's going to be a thing, isn't it? John says, I hope Candice brings back Never Back Down as her theme now that she is babyface. Poison Pixie character isn't for a babyface. True, but that doesn't necessarily mean the music's wrong. Triple H focuses and works very hard on creating impactful entrances. It's been a thing for him for a long time. Ever since DX was first formed, the impactful entrance is something that Triple H swears by, and he tries to make sure everybody uses. I think it's more impactful, as is at the moment, as a Poison Pixie, personally. Personally, as a Poison Pixie, I think it's more impactful. Imperium have run into Rey Mysterio backstage. I like that they're finally saying earlier today, because it feels really contrived when they don't. Hector says, I have a feeling we won't necessarily get Bray per se, but more or less his character with the mask, especially if we get more Clive Barker or Dante Alighieri quotes involved. We'll see how that plays. I do think we'll see Bray. We won't see Wyndham. We'll see Bray tonight. And we'll start to get a feel for who the different people are. I don't know, Austin. Also, welcome, mate. As regards Mandy retaining, could do. I think she will, because I still think Roxanne is the one to beat her. Rey Mysterio has accused Imperium of having no balls. It looks like tonight will be Rey Mysterio versus versus Ludwig Kaiser. which I'm excited for. I get the feeling Gunter is going to get final boss booking from here. Now he has the full Imperium with him. Rey Mysterio's got the match, but he still has to work his way through the lackeys. That works for me. Megan says, I did like Kevin Owens' line about the former Jordan Devlin from this week's NXT. KO called him JD McDon't Google me. Okay, so I need to explain this as delicately as possible. There are a lot of people in wrestling who other wrestlers do not respect and who other wrestlers know things about. Kevin Owens is one of those who gives no shits. It will start to slip out. Bray Wyatt is backstage wearing a nice jacket. This is just Bray Wyatt. I get the feeling this Bray Wyatt is more of a victim of the personalities around him. The Confessor. The Wyatt Six then are based on emotions. Yeah, this is not Wyndham. He's working well with the flow of the music. What's next, Bray? We want you to do horrible things, Bray. To be clear, Bray has always been the servant and the follower. This is a continuation of the character that he has used previously. This is not a brand new element. The use of emotions as their own individual entities was something he pitched a long time ago of the Wyatt family itself. This is not a huge recreation for Bray. This is the completion of a previous story. And I will say once again, the Redeemer, the Reclaimer, Justice. There's a reason I'm saying that, and I just want to make that clear. Simon says, Tom, if you're a Sheamus fan, my second fave, Liv was on the Celtic Warrior workout today on YouTube. Yeah, they did butt stuff. Sean says, if Mandy retains on Saturday, she'll make 1 year as champion on Wednesday, and I'm confident she will. Definitely some debate going on between Sammy and Jay. Sammy wants to get Logan. There's 4 of you. Would Roman say that? Stuart says Ray versus any of Imperium would be awesome. Agreed. Connor says the music building tension getting me on edge. Edge, you say? Oh, Sami Zayn is called Jey Uso, not very Usi. You are his dog. He is a hothead, it's true. So he's Jey Uso has become loose cannon, short fuse. Mix of Brian Pillman and Ken Shamrock going on here. Meanwhile, Jimmy Uso has become really grounded. He's saying the same thing. Is he getting a catchphrase? Because it's an interesting one. I'll take it. Bailey says, 6 months ago, could anyone have predicted where WWE would be today? Absolutely not. The removal of Vince McMahon sent ripples through the wrestling world from which we have still not recovered. And I can say that with absolute confidence. Deville's welcome. Says, will Jay get kicked out, or will Sammy and Jay go on a one-on-one rivalry or something? I'd imagine both of those things will happen. I would imagine one of them will get kicked out. I think it will be Jay, at which point they will engage in that one-on-one rivalry. But I think Jay will come back for Roman. Jay Quick, welcome, mate. How you doing? Says, greetings, you wonderful humans. I'm back. Needed some time away to clear my head. Just missing my mum around these times of the holidays coming up. I can respect that, mate. Welcome to the show. Code says, Bray going evil mode. Well, to be fair, Bray did make it clear he was receiving instruction from the Circle. The Circle is the one that leads him. The Circle is the one that guides him. It is down to the Circle. Ultimately, his victims are not his victims. They are victims of the Circle. Always needs saying. Always needs saying. Connor says, Jimmy and Sammy's relationship is so good. Yes, they connect in a very real, very visceral way. Not much is being made of the breakdown of the Jay and Jimmy relationship. Jay Quick says, confirm Bray's in the inner circle. Sean right there as well saying the circle, the inner circle. I believe that makes him an agent of change and an agent of chaos. But I will say once again, the Redeemer, the Reclaimer, justice. Hector says, a promo from Bray was short, sweet, and to the point. Plus, I love the Continue to Play theme, performed by Code Orange, which is one of my favourite bands. And they also did the Fiend theme as well as themes for takeovers as well. Lots of TH sounds in there. Connor says, you know what is also a circle? A clock and the hands of time come for us all at our on time. It's true, at our on time, they always come. Simon says, Roman is a babyface in the Logan Paul feud. Nobody wants to cheer after the Paul's body stunt in the woods on YouTube years ago. Very true. A lot of people have not forgiven Logan Paul for that. I can totally understand why. However, let's wait and see what happens when we're in Saudi Arabia, shall we? Because Bailey says, maybe Bray can use an old US folk song, Will the Circle Be Unbroken? At this moment, nope. Jay Quick says, you don't need a long promo for Bray. No, I think that was perfect. I think that was absolutely perfect for this week. He made it clear there will be victims. He made it clear that there is someone above him. That's all I really care about. Wouldn't be too surprised if that person ended up being Scarlett, but we are where we are. Sean says, maybe Alexa is one of the targets of the Circle. She's one of Bray's targets, I'll tell you that. But that's the thing. With the idea of someone above him manipulating him, they can say, oh, he wasn't ready for this one yet, or he wasn't ready for this one yet. It's a way to kayfabe it. The Circle was probably a Triple H idea to just help give the character guidance. Code says, the theme and Bray talking spine tingling. Spine tingling. Jay Quick says, another target could be Seth. Seth does not want to work a Bray again. He just does not want to work a Bray again, and I kind of get it. I can't be mad at him. Liv Morgan is up next. She'll be wrestling Sonya Deville. Suggests that Ronda Rousey is likely to be our draw segment. Liv is looking a lot more colourful today. She's definitely getting that Harley Quinn vibe. She's got a brand new walk as well. She's a very different character. Megan says, good thing about this time of year, clocks go back in a couple of weeks, so the shows are earlier for a little bit. Is it just for a little bit, Megan? I don't think it is. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but daylight savings time in America, still a thing, yeah? Or is it not? Now, I remember this because Megan, you raise a very good point that I'm very, very interested in. But let me just... When is US Daylight Savings Time 2022? Or already in it. Boo. Ends on the 6th of November. Yeah, I was completely wrong on that one. Got the wrong impression entirely, and now I'm depressed. Sonya Deville, as always, looks amazing. I always have to say that because it's always true. She just knows how to have style. Megan says the blue-red combo on the shorts is very Harley Quinn. Indeed it is. Hector says, you know WWE's all in on Bray when they play a licensed song that was only heard on live shows during commercial breaks and was never heard on televised programming. It's not going to be that expensive to get a theme. I never understood this. It's not that expensive to license a theme. It'll be worth it as well, so just do it. Will says, do you know the meaning of WWE working with GCW? I'm not aware that there is a working relationship with GCW at this point in time. I have no information that I can share there. Liv Morgan briefly tried to attack Sonya Deville from behind there, but was stopped by the referee. May have been missed because of the replay. But I'm interested to see what happens here. I think unfortunately Sonya Deville's just on a bit of a losing streak, but we are where we are. Kieran says, so is Bray's first match at the Rumble, do you think, if the day one cancelling is true? Depends what you mean by match. I think he's going to be avoiding having traditional matches. I think he's going to basically decide his target around Survivor Series and then build towards something at Royal Rumble. But I think WrestleMania might actually be his first match. And yes, I know that's 6 months away, but that's Bray Wyatt. So far, Sonya Deville's pretty comfortable in this match. But Liv's keeping it fairly even. Of course, one of the biggest problems of Liv Morgan's title reign was that she never looked like a threat. She never looked like a legitimate anything, to be fair. If she has to lose her mind a little bit in order to finally be threatening, I will certainly take it. The fans are certainly cheering for her again. Turns out what Liv Morgan needed was a NXT 2.0 character change. I don't like it, but it doesn't change the fact. I'm still waiting on a proper push for Sonya Deville as well. I feel like I'll be waiting for a very long time for it. Which is a shame because we know how good she is. We know the impact that she's had. We know just how good a talker that she is. There is a champion there. I just worry that with Ronda Rousey, with Charlotte Flair, it's hard to get to that top level. And Liv Morgan, God bless her, bounced straight off it. Hector says, Tom, have you heard any rumours or backstage murmurs about Shayna? Is this just time off or just no current story for her? No current story at this point in time. The intention was to have Ronda Rousey bring out the monster, as it were, but Ronda Rousey wasn't available last week. They needed to put more effort into the Liv Morgan storyline, so Shayna took a back seat. She did. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's a stop-start push, and it's a shame. Lovely kick there from Sonya Deville. We're getting a bit of time on this match because we're getting a commercial break in the middle of it. And Liv is still laughing. It's very Joker, isn't it? Kieran says, you always get a few great wrestlers who should be, but just never win a title. Very true. Regal, Owen Hart. Sean says, I agree, Tom. Sonya is very good. She deserves a push. And I do believe so. I don't know if it'll ever happen, but I'd love it. I'd absolutely love it. The WWE Twitter is really focusing on the phrase, I'm just a servant now, I go where the circle takes me. This still isn't new, to be clear. Once again, he's always been a follower, he's never been a leader. There's always someone taking charge. There is a huge loneliness in the Bray Wyatt character. The idea always seemed to be he'd grab people, take over their minds, or create them in his own head, just so that he wasn't so lonely, which is a very sad state of affairs, but makes for a very compelling character. Austin says, I'm still waiting for Shayna. Code says, I feel like if they go crazy, can they do something other than Harley Quinn or Joker? It's a classic crazy role. Very true. Very true. There's no real personality other than I've gone mad. It's not a good thing, and it's a very fair comment. Bailey says, another change from the Vince era on SmackDown. Remember when women's matches routinely no more than 3 minutes? I wouldn't necessarily put that down to Vince. We had that 2 weeks ago for Triple H. We had 2 women's matches. Hello, I do believe we are live again. I'm going to have to restart the PS4 to try and get internet back, but I do believe we are live again. Apologies for that, my internet just basically lost its mind for a moment there. Hopefully you all stuck around. Yes, traffic, we definitely had a brief stream issue. It wasn't feeding through. Thank you guys for sticking around and for updating me. I am just restarting the PS4 so I can get BT going again. It is a bit stormy and a bit bad weather over here. Got some thunderstorms en route. But hopefully we'll be able to push through with this one. My internet's pretty reliable here. It's just that, there's only so much we can do. Thank you, Traffic, Connor, Cy and Stuart for confirming that we're still here and still good. Brilliant. On the YouTube side, I know that it just keeps going. The stream just keeps going. It just on the VOD it cuts a bit out. On the Twitch side, it's a brand new stream now. A brand new stream. I have real doubts about Twitch lately. I really do. So let's try and get back to Liv Morgan versus Sonya Deville. Gotta turn my pad on. So I can get back to providing some watch party. At least I don't have to worry about resetting BT. I mean, it's had an automatic reset there. For some reason, it's not even the favourites anymore. It's just vanished. BT Sport is not good. There is, Kieran. That's fair. I'm supposed to put a an image on, aren't we? I'll have to look into it. And Ross says, yeah, still good here. Welcome, Ross. How you doing, man? Connor says, just seen on Twitter at the arena, they were selling Huskus, the Pig Boy plushies. Well, as I say, we're going to learn a lot more about them in the next few weeks. Traffic said, oh, the match is still ongoing. That's good. Traffic says, seems like Twitch has done everything in its power recently to push people not to stream on their site. YouTube getting the ability to raid is going to be a game changer, and a big one. Being able to separate into live shows, shorts, and videos, also a game changer, because it means they're going to recommend different content. It's all got a little bit awkward for everyone other than YouTube. I think YouTube has beaten Twitch. I think it's game up for Twitch at this point. I think it's game over. We'll see how it plays out. Of course, then YouTube will turn its attention to TikTok, which I've got to feel is also an arena in which they can actually win. Liv Morgan's going to get double count out here because she's too busy beating up Sonya, which just isn't helpful in any way, shape or form. The crowd are booing because it's not a win for Liv, is it? This seemed a very winnable match, and yet here we are. Eric says, Tom, what is Liv's makeup? Very Joker, very Harley Quinn. Kieran says, YouTube just needs a better UI for finding new live streams. True, discoverability is still an issue. Still an issue. But what I will say is that I have always picked up more subscribers from a YouTube stream than followers on a Twitch stream. So yeah, you can get to monetization a lot faster on Twitch, but then what? Sean says, I'd rather Liv have this crazy character than Alexa. I don't see anything wrong with her character. I don't think there's anything wrong with the character, but we also need something to be a little more right. She has been going more extreme. The fans are chanting for tables. Sonya Deville just jumped into the ring without any actual pressure there. She needs to find a table now. She's grinning away. Grinning away. Just taking a whole load of chairs. I don't know what's coming, but it doesn't like it's going to be tables. Megan says, I've been exporting my streams to YouTube now, mainly the backup, but also so I have content ready to go as well. It's difficult in that regard because long form streams, when you're not actively live and engage withable, can be difficult. I'd suggest, if possible, Megan, considering a live stream option. It works. Douglas says, would you ever consider making a soccer channel? Yes. Colohue football is in the plans. It's just at the moment I don't have enough time to cover it. If there's a couple of big Champions League games over the next few months, I certainly may indulge. It's not hard to set up a new brand channel and just start streaming. Some football watch parties, some after shows, some highlights. If there's enough people that are interested in it, it'll certainly get off the ground pretty quickly. Kieran says, you now make money from YouTube Shorts. TikTok payout is super low. It is, though my channels still don't have shorts. They still haven't been rolled out to me yet. I don't know what I'm supposed to do at this point. They're just not there. Gotcha, Sean. I understand what you're saying. Traffic says, I've noticed a lot more recently too. I get more streams recommended, whereas 6 months ago I would never get them suggested. YouTube's going live. That's what's happening now. Certainly my growth over the last few months seems to be a large part of it down to YouTube just improving its algorithms. And I'll take that. I will absolutely take that. When things finally start getting split, so they advertise live to live viewers, they advertise video to video viewers, they advertise short to short viewers, and occasionally just sort of swap them around a little bit, then I'll be flying, guys. So even though it was a double count out, Liv Morgan definitely ended looking strong. We now got ourselves an LA Knight vignette to remind us who the man is. Megan says, part of me wishes I could dual stream, but I'm not set up for that right now. Kieran suggests Restream. I've heard about Restream. It's not something I've tried myself, but I have heard good things. I, of course, dual stream in a different way. But you guys know I'm always looking for new ways to advertise and get the word out there. I've been trying to play more with TikTok, but it doesn't always work that way. Up next, Braun Strowman and Omos go face to face. So we've had the Brute division, we've had the women's division. Now we're going to have the Giants division. And still an hour left after all. Sean says Duke Hudson was on main event this week. I believe he lost to Cedric Alexander. They're using him. People keep forgetting that main event's a great way to get used to working in front of a main roster crowd. Just gives you an opportunity to really get to know how to work the individual room and so on and so forth. It's a really good learning opportunity. Gotcha, Kieran. So it's similar to StreamYard then, yeah? Because that's what I've had it compared to, similar to StreamYard. Hey Patrick, how you doing, mate? Nice to see you again. So we're nearly halfway through SmackDown, and honestly, so far, I think it's been a very good show. I've really enjoyed it. We've had 2 good matches. We've had a great Bray Wyatt promo. We got everything we need so far. It's a good start, basically, is what I'm saying. Solid start. Yeah, the Tom Colohue strategy, essentially, is to eventually have Colohue Wrestling, Colohue Gaming, Colohue Football, and to donate, say, 5-6 hours of live shows to each of them. Well, not necessarily just live shows, but content to each of them per week. That's the plan, as it were. And the idea being that, you do post shows to football matches, you do breaking news, you do live watch parties, exactly the same as I'm doing here. Gaming, same thing. You do live shows where you play a game, you edit it down so you've got the videos, and occasionally you do big reaction streams, stuff like that. It's not difficult content, but it does take time and it does take effort, and obviously the difficult part is building an audience and so on and so forth. The more I build here, of course, the easier it'll be to say to people, hi, I've just launched Colohue Football, come on over. And it'll grow fast because the people who are there are already invested. There's no real people jumping in and being like, it's not for me. The people who are there will already know that it's for them, as in because it's you guys. Whereas if you're not interested in football, you just won't come over. You'll stay here, and that's absolutely fine. So I do feel that the more we build here, the quicker and easier it will be to build future endeavours. Sean says, will there be a spoiler warning on Halloween since it's on a Monday? Yes. Halloween parties here will be over the weekend. I personally am planning to go out on the Saturday, so that'll be the party. On the Monday, I have work, and of course, I work on the Tuesday, so I can't really be going out getting smashed. Although I did go out on Thursday. But I'm old now, guys. I'm 34. I went out to a club and I looked around and I was like, this is not for me. This is not for me. Not for me at all. And we are back. I as Connor says, I don't think Braun versus Omos is going to be the draw segment. They usually have a segment of 5 minutes or so before the draw segment. We'll see how it goes. Sean says, just should dress up for the Halloween stream, Tom. Maybe I will. Maybe I will. Simon says, where was Ronda during the Liv segment match? Not there. Like I say, I know Ronda's returned. I know Ronda's likely to pop up, but I didn't say she was going to invade and attack Liv. That wasn't on the docket. Or was it? Was that reported? I don't recall that being reported. Braun Strowman is on his way down to the ring. Not someone I previously expected to see a lot of face-to-faces with. I'm not sure where we're going with Braun. Logically, Braun versus Gunter makes sense. Braun versus Roman makes sense. But he needs a lot more work before I think we're there yet. The issue is, almost makes sense, but what about afterwards? Lashley? Sheamus? McIntyre? Someone's eventually going to beat this guy. Eric, Liv did not throw Shayna through a pile of chairs. It was Sonya Deville. But to be fair, that may just be autocorrect getting you. Yep. Fair enough. Now, Braun Strowman's infamous weakness was his mic work. Genuinely, his mic work was considered some of the worst in the company, and the whole feud with Shane McMahon was supposed to be a challenge thrown down, the gauntlet thrown down to Braun Strowman, basically saying, get talking, learn to communicate. He has himself a microphone now, let's see how it goes. Yep, Ronda is there, Simon. I did say that. So far so good for Braun. He's not messing around. Okay. Again, brief promo, but effective. It'll benefit Braun that Bray will help him out with some of his scripting. MVP's music, which is literally just MVP, MVP. Bit weird. Almost not there at the moment. MVP still rocking the cane, which, to be fair, you would. I would. Sean says, I bet Alexa was elated when Braun returned. That is one of her close friends. He wore Crocs to her wedding. Yeah, they were great friends because of Team Little Big, which is still fun. I can't help but feel that MVP is here to distract Braun from like a back attack. I do feel like MVP sort of belongs on SmackDown now. He seems to fit the aesthetic here a lot better. There is some very bright hair in the crowd. It's very distracting. Simon says they kept mentioning Ronda during the Liv segment, so I guess they're selling the fact that Liv, Harley Quinn, crazy extreme like character will do anything to best Ronda. Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. Like, there's no other way to put it. That's exactly what they're doing. They're trying to suggest that this particular version of Liv Morgan has a chance against Ronda. She doesn't, but maybe she has more of a chance. Kieran and Sean both saying that they loved MVP's old theme. Me too, to be fair. Oh, I'm coming. Like, it seemed a bit personal and maybe a bit TMI, but you know, you get what you get. Did he just call him a little giant? Okay, so the whole storyline is who's the real giant? Like, who's actually tall, though? It seems a bit unnecessary. We know you're tall, Braun. It's okay. Also, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't his fake tan running? It's a bit Rudy Giuliani. Okay, so Braun versus Omos Crown Jewel. It is true. He is more for action than talking. That Braun's found a nice rhythm with his promos at the minute. He's improved. This is a much better Braun Strowman. He's not by himself. Back attack. Kieran says Lesnar bopping along to it would always be great. Lesnar was really into it. Okay, no back attack. Omos just wants to be visible. So we've got the fact that the match is coming, but we're not quite within draw segment territory yet. Are they actually going to start scrapping? Because that would be good draw segment territory. Simon says, do you think Liv's new character will get over with the crowd in time? The crowd in time. Yeah, I think it's already getting over with the crowd. I think people are into it. Sean says Braun versus MVP. I felt like they were going that way, but now they seem to have pulled back from it. Megan says, how nice of Braun and Omos to let people know when to take a break if they are watching the show. I'm not the biggest Braun fan, but this version of Braun Strowman is a lot better than it used to be. This definitely feels like it's going to be our draw segment unless they go to commercial break now, in which case we don't have a draw segment. Traffic says, don't you think they should have done crazy extreme Liv gimmick, but you know, extreme rules? They were. That was the plan. That's what they were trying to do. Don't forget that the reason we've got this version of Liv Morgan is Chucky. Much as we got the man Becky Lynch, Braun Strowman actually does look small compared to Omos. That's an interesting visual. That's a very interesting visual. That's established almost more than anything else. Interesting. Anyway, what was I saying? Yes. Oh, bloody hell, Braun just got thrown. Did I say bloody hell? I said bloody hell. I got into that. So, the Liv Morgan character was born in Extreme Rules, essentially, though there were suggestions of it previously, as I've mentioned. Simon says, I don't think Ronda likes travelling to Saudi Arabia like Owens. Others, she said so. Maybe they save the fourth match in their feud for War Games. Maybe, that makes sense. Why the hell not? Sean suggests Damage Control could be the draw segment. We are in the draw segment, guys. This was it. Braun and Omos. That's who our draw segment is. Megan says, I think Braun will be okay. He knows what to expect from the Saudi shows. It's Omos I'm worried about. We don't need another Tyson Fury situation again. I think Omos will let Braun lead, and while Braun's not known to be a leader in the ring, I think working with Omos, he'll pick it up. I do think he's improved a lot, Braun. Like I do want to make that clear. Sheamus has gone to a hospital, which may take a while because usually they get healed a lot faster in a local medical facility. Okay, McIntyre and Cross coming up next. There are suddenly a lot of big names on SmackDown. Like, they've spread people out quite nicely. Simon says, doing Kill Room 10-minute cameo in new film. Ronda. Didn't know that. Kieran says there's some fun spots. Two big men in a match isn't a bad thing. I agree, and I think Triple H can book it confidently. Kayla Braxton is backstage interviewing Drew McIntyre, who is somehow not being arrested for the whole vehicular homicide business. Oh, maybe they are. Did you get fined, Drew? Did you get fined? It sounds like we're going to get more hardcore with Karrion Kross. This feud's going to keep going. Heck, sir, I'm not there for the piercings. I'm not a piercing guy. Megan says, I need that jacket Drew's got. I think we all do. But it would swamp me. I've never suited a leather jacket. Denim I can do. Leather, no. In. Okay, Crown Jewel is going to be Cross versus Drew in a steel cage. I want to say this is a feud that keeps on giving, but that sounds more positive than I'm aiming for. There's a point at which I'm just not going to be that excited about this, and I think that point was when it started. Logan Paul has arrived. There was an initial pop there, and then the boo set it. But there was an initial pop there. I do think tonight ends with Logan Paul on his face. Like, down, just properly beaten. Megan says it will sit nicely next to my Balor Club jacket. Oh, you've got a collection of everything, haven't you? Oh, bloody hell. Damage Control are here, and they are enjoying themselves. Simon says, Liv's the second wrestler I really emotionally connect with as a fan after Sasha. I know. Hello, Astrid, how are you? I popped into your show earlier. Only briefly, and it's like on my queue to catch up with now, and leave a like. But I popped in earlier. I wish I'd realised that you were going to go live right after spoiler warning. I would have sent a raid over. Hope you had fun. Great to see you, and I hope you're enjoying SmackDown. How are you? Garner says, agreed. It's not the feud that keeps on giving. It's a feud that just keeps on happening. Yeah, we've had feuds that go way too long. I don't think this has necessarily gone way too long. It's just that Drew versus Karrion Kross just isn't very even. It isn't very fun. It isn't very fair. Kieran says, I only like wearing the sort of jackets Eminem wears. Well, that's on you, mate. That's on you. You do you. Simon says, you're not going to pro wrestling fans who love the Shield to boo Roman over a decent boxer in Logan Paul. Once again, nobody really cares about that. Once they go to Saudi Arabia, Logan Paul will get a very different response. And then the feud's over, so why would they care? They're getting what they want. They don't really care about anything else. Shotzi and Raquel riding a tank down. I don't think they're going to win. I really don't. I think I might see Bianca today, but I don't think there's any chance that they're going to be winning here. Hector says, as much as I love Drew, I think this needs to be over because Drew hasn't helped Karrion whatsoever. Maybe this cage match is Drew putting over Karrion finally, but who knows? I feel confident that it's not. I don't like that, but I feel confident that it's not. If Drew hasn't really put crossover so far, why would he start now? Sean says, I know Damage Control just formed, but in the future when WCW, when WWE decides to break them up, who is more likely to break the group up? Dakota Kai. Very much Dakota Kai. Connor says, what does TCB stand for on the tank? I'm not sure. Maybe someone can help out. And Astrid says, doing good. Thank you for stopping by. No worries, Astrid. I mean, I believe I've followed on your Twitch. I've subscribed on your YouTube. Anything I can do to help out, absolutely. You may be interested. I spoke about this earlier. You may be interested in this as well. I've been thinking about putting together like a Google document of just some practices that really worked for me in growing a YouTube channel. just little things that really helped me to grow, and just making that relatively public. Then potentially trying to work together, getting some more raids going. If that's of interest to you, let me know. So it says, any chance this was meant to be the draw segment and they're overrunning, or was it really Omos and Braun? If so, that's the most Vince draw segment ever. He liked his giants. Braun has been a draw segment a number of times. It's not quite perfectly balanced, and the fact that they had the interview with Drew first when they could just put that afterwards, I think Braun was supposed to be the draw segment. Taking care of business. So Shotzi takes care of business. That makes sense. Thank you, Sean. Gotcha, Astrid. When I've got something actually properly written up, I'll let you know, and maybe we can get some people collaborating and trying different things and endorsing ideas at work and not endorsing things that maybe don't work for them, so we have some actual best practice. I think we can get there. I hope you're good though, Astrid. Great to see you. Simon says, who do you see more over in Saudi? Because a lot of Saudi fans are very knowledgeable, watch AEW, know their pro wrestling. Roman or Logan? Logan Paul. I don't know what you're talking about with being more knowledgeable and watching AEW. That's not the case. That's not the case at all. Logan Paul will be very over in Saudi Arabia. So he says, fair enough, I'm behind on my SmackDown. Well, fair enough, mate, but Braun's been in that spot a couple of times. There is a lot of love going for Braun at the moment, and he's kind of rising to the challenge. Braun versus Otis, I think it was a draw segment match, and it was a good match. Well, Connor, as you know, I'm a Gerrard fan, but I'm a Gerrard the player fan. As a manager, so far he's been okay. He did well at Rangers. He did well for a while at Aston Villa. But unfortunately, I think this is the first time he's really been backs to the wall. I don't think he ever really was back to the wall at Rangers. This is the first time he's really failed as a manager. I think he'll be back before long, probably Championship, League One level, and develop from there. I think that'd be a good thing for him, because Lampard's back in the firing line. I think Gerrard could do well to drop down a little further. Code said, is Ronda meant to be on SmackDown? I just know that she is in the arena and that she had returned. I expect to see her at least in a backstage promo or something like that. There is still plenty of time, but I don't know how that's going to play out at this point. Simon, there will be no celebrity versus celebrity matches of that style. You need a ring general in the matches, and that does not work with that particular crowd. Pat McAfee is very good, but that does not work with that crowd at all. So that will not be how that plays out. There will not be a moment when that happens. Oof. And we are back. Sean says Shotzi is hosting Halloween Havoc tomorrow with Quincy Elliott. Makes sense. Makes sense. Sometimes you just got characters that fit the bill, and Shotzi's one of them. Logically, our main event is going to be Logan Paul, which means we have this match. We also have Rey Mysterio versus versus Ludwig Kaiser. Honestly, I think they put together a pretty solid show here. We got 4 matches, a championship being defended, something to build towards Logan Paul versus Roman Reigns. It's a solid show so far. Hector says, I think Triple H's approach when it comes to showing NXT and promoting it on main roster programming caters to those fans like yourself who don't really watch NXT, which is a good way to get eyes on NXT for those who don't watch or know as much. Well, I think it's worth pointing out that a lot of people don't watch NXT. Like, compared to the SmackDown audience, a lot of people don't watch Raw either. You know? SmackDown is the A show, and it's the A show for a reason. Now, Triple H's approach is right, and I really do believe that. It's just a way of being able to introduce the audience bit by bit to what's happening, and that's how it should be. I'm just really glad that they're a lot more involved than they used to be. NXT's had times where there's some serious risk involved of basically fading into the background so badly that it fades entirely and we never see it again. It's recovering at the moment, and Triple H being in charge is certainly helping that. Shawn Michaels is doing a very good job down there. But it's still not quite at the level that it was during serious competition. Maybe what we need is for it to go directly into competition again. Shotzi basically just fell on her face there. She has to be careful with those, right? Of course, right now what we're looking at is wrestlers who were in NXT last year. Shotzi, I believe, is the only one who debuted in the main roster more than 12 months ago. That was quite nice from Raquel. Dakota had to run into it, but it was still quite nice. Simon, I don't know who Bad Bunny might face at WrestleMania 39. It's a long way away, and I don't have any information on that. I'd be assuming. Shotzi off Raquel's shoulders. Dakota Kai, again, not perfectly placed for it, but Shotzi didn't really get the height she was going for. I do feel they need to tighten up a little bit when it comes to moves like that. Traffic says, never forget when NXT was a game show on Sci-Fi when Titus O'Neil dropped the ball. Man's clumsy. Nobody ever focuses on it, but the man be clumsy. Shotzi and Raquel are almost too dominant right now. Dakota Kai just took a bit of a rough landing. She's taken the beating so far. I don't think Io Shirai's actually been in the match yet. Sean says, fun fact, every woman on our screen is a former tag team champion. The women's tag division has been solid for the past few months. The championships have constantly been competed for or defended. Admittedly, we lost Aaliyah and that's stymied the momentum slightly, but the women's tag division has been very well used. Of course, this is also true of the tag division at the moment. Legado del Fantasma and Hit Row will undoubtedly have some sort of segment across the course of the show. Simon says, I'm really pleased for Liv doing a movie with megastars like Uma Thurman, Samuel L. Jackson. Gotcha. Okay. I was a little confused when you said that earlier. I couldn't quite understand what you were saying, but thank you for clarifying for me. So this entire match so far has just been Dakota Kai getting beaten up. Io Shirai has finally tagged in. I don't think it was actually as blind as you think it was there, Shotzi. Lovely way to get in the ring. Io Sky just making a point when she arrives there. Looks like we're going straight into commercial break. Yes, we are. Stuart says, Titus O'Neil will forever be remembered for that dive under the ring. The only Saudi Arabia show I watched. And yeah, that moment just broke myself and the people I was watching with. He will be remembered forever as Titus World Slide. And we have to respect the efforts made by Corey Graves in that moment as well, because would it be as good if not for Corey Graves losing his mind, laughing like a maniac in that moment? Sean says, would we say Io is the best Japanese wrestler on the WWE roster? I don't know. I really like the way Asuka wrestles. I really like the way Shinsuke Nakamura wrestles. I don't know. I think they're much of a sameness, to be honest. They're all very talented. It's difficult to do a direct comparison. Simon says, I really enjoyed watching back the Liv versus Shayna match from Clash. Where's Shayna now? Creative hiatus. They're not sure what to do with her. They've had to reinvent Liv, so they're not sure how to fit Shayna into that world. Shayna was still supposed to be working with Ronda Rousey, and we'll likely see that come back at some point soon. But right now, we're not quite there. We're not quite there. We have 45 minutes of the show left, so just over a third. Just over a third. If you're watching on YouTube, please do remember to hit that thumbs up. Every like can make a massive difference. We currently have 15 likes and 23 viewers. If we can get those extra 8 likes, you'll watch the viewership pop up to 30, which of course means more people to hit that like button. And if you haven't done already, please do be sure to hit subscribe as well. We do watch parties every single Friday, every PLE that isn't in Saudi Arabia. And we also have Monday and Friday spoiler warning news shows featuring exclusive news you won't find anywhere else. Today's major story was the return of Vince McMahon for WrestleMania 39. Patrick says, is Nakamura back in NXT now? He's visiting NXT. It's much like when you play Monopoly. He's not gone to jail, he's just visiting jail. Now obviously I don't necessarily say that NXT is jail there, but you get what I'm saying. Simon, if you want to rank him, you go right ahead. I'm going to go ahead and not do that. Just going to go ahead and not. I'm sure you get it. I'm sure you get it. Hector says, Tom, with Ray being featured a lot lately, did you see his video message he sent him for Triple Mania? Yes, I did. There would have been zero chance something like that would have happened under Vince, so I'm glad that Triple H and Co allowed Ray to do that. You're right, it's exactly right. Also, AJ Styles with Impact, I believe it was. So there is a lot of changes under Triple H. Some are more obvious than others, but I do think just happily working with quote-unquote competitors is a very Triple H thing to do. I don't think AEW is ever going to get there, but if they can do some easy favours, maybe they will. Simon says, can any Money in the Bank men's women's champion now cashing down NXT every year, Tom? Yes, but why would they? That's the thing. Austin Theory went down to NXT to threaten the people there, and what happened was he looked like he was afraid of Roman. Big E wandered around hounding Roman Reigns for months, then cashed in on Bobby Lashley. He looked afraid of Roman. You have to wonder about things like that. He just looked afraid of Roman. Okay, I'm worried by the lack of offense that Damage Control are getting here, especially after what happened with Bianca Belair at the last pay-per-view. Io Sky has a pretty bad mark on her right thigh. That's bright red. Well, for a minute there, we nearly had a Tower of Doom. Io has survived. Oh, lovely into a DDT there. Finally getting a bit of offense. Horsey, how you doing, mate? Says, hi, Tom. Sorry, missed the last couple. I'm away. That's all, but we'll 100% be back Monday. Can't even watch SmackDown, gutted. Sorry to hear that, mate. I hope you're having fun. Like I say, don't feel guilty or anything. If you can't make it, you can't make it. I never say to people you need to be at every show because, well, that's just mean and unnecessary. But you're very welcome. We'll see you when we see you, and I hope you have a great time. Thanks for dropping in. If you stick around, stick around. If not, then I hope you're having a great time. Sean said, I saw a little bit of AEW this week. They showed former Ring of Honor World Champions like Seth and Kevin Owens. I wonder how AEW managed to show WWE superstars on their show. Because there's nothing stopping them from doing so. They own the footage, so there's not a problem. Like they own the footage, so they can use it. They could show full Kevin Steen versus Tyler Black matches right now. Nothing stopping them. Simon says, loved NXT the other night, but thought it was a wasted opportunity. Not have the OC versus the Judgment Day to have a big brawl storyline continuity. Well, we'll see where we go. I don't think it was meant to be long term. I think a lot of the NXT stuff was just designed purely to be very, very temporary. Bit of white noise on Shotzi. Up for a moonsault. Seems like Bailey has done the job for him. Lovely moonsault. Nearly missed her. Nearly missed her. And Damage Control survive. Escape with their lives and titles, basically. Dakota Kai has just been battered for 20 minutes. That's what happened there. Dakota Kai got battered for 20 minutes and then they won. Shotzi, of course, took the pin. Aaliyah due back soon. I'm not expecting to see a heel turn for Raquel, by the way. I know you're all about to ask about it. Got you, Horsey. I can't blame you. Can't blame you. The thing is, Horsey, you've missed a couple of wins, haven't you? Missed a couple of wins. Simon, go for it with your Tolkien stuff. For those who don't know, I am an author. I have written novels, and I've been working on a fantasy series which definitely has some similarities to the Lord of the Rings ethos and the appendices and the world building. So yeah, you get into your Tolkien, because hopefully that means that one day you might buy my book. Sean says, who do we see taking the belt off Damage Control? Probably a team that's not currently a team. That's what I would personally expect, a team that's not currently a team. Kayla Braxton is backstage interviewing Ronda Rousey. What I say? Decent response to Ronda. She's wearing a heel face. She is issuing an open challenge tonight. Thank you very kindly, Horsey, for the donation. Says, before I leave, wanted to drop some support. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, mate. Welcome back to the show. Ronda is flopping back into heel. Just going after the fans, which is her standard move. Suggested the actual feud with Liv Morgan is going bye-bye. Again, Ronda's not wrong there. No open challenge. So we'll get an open challenge next week. Shotzi? Not Shotzi. Shayna. Definitely Rousey, Shayna. We have another reminder of Bray. We're just being reminded of the existence of Uncle Howdy. Say Uncle. Well, that does not look like a different personality of Bray Wyatt, and it certainly doesn't sound like it. That seems like an entirely different character at all, doesn't it? Jermaine says, Damage Control still need 2 more girls to join their group, especially since they're going to be in War Games. Yes, but right now they're not focused on Survivor Series, they're focusing on Crown Jewel. Right you are, Jaden. Megan says, please let it be Shayna. I wholeheartedly agree. Wholeheartedly. Sean says, can Shayna afford the loss though? Yeah, it's against Ronda, so absolutely. On BT Sport, every single commercial break, I'm getting the exact same commercial about stepdads. Which, like, I am one of those now. So, maybe chill out. Like, every single commercial break is really quite annoying. Horsey says, did something happen then with Bray, Tom? Bray cut a promo earlier today during the show, and it was a fun one. I enjoyed it. I feel there's a lot more they can build on from it. But essentially he was writing off everything that came before, the wind and rotunda of it all. Traffic says, that voice saying howdy is going to be broken down 1,000,000 times over the next week with people trying to guess the voice. I'm pretty sure the voice actually still is Bray Wyatt, let's be honest. Austin says, Ronda Shayna next week, please. I really hope so. She's the perfect person for it. Like, regardless of any possibility of winning, she's the perfect person. Jermaine says, hey Tom, you think Shayna will answer Ronda Rousey's open challenge instead of a returning Charlotte Flair? Yes. I believe we'll see Charlotte after Crown Jewel. After Crown Jewel. Though, of course, Shayna not want to go to Crown Jewel either. I don't think we're going to get a Crown Jewel Women's Championship. I think that'll wait till Survivor Series. But Shayna versus Ronda Rousey at Survivor Series could be a lot of fun. Simon says, I think Ronda beats maybe Xia Li or something in an open challenge. Then Insane Harley beats her down with a chair or something. Would be predictable and very Vince McMahon, which also means it's quite likely to happen. Halsey says, when do we see Bray in ring for the first time, do you think, Tom? Survivor Series or a slow build? A real slow build. A real slow build. My personal expectation is that we're not going to see him wrestle a full match until around WrestleMania time. I don't even necessarily think he'll be in the Rumble. Megan says, the code takes you to Bray's Psyche Val. Lovely. Lovely. Sean says, Ronda Asuka next week since Ronda wants the match. That, again, Ronda doesn't book the matches, so it's hard for her to be able to do that. Hector says, with Halloween Havoc on tomorrow, who are your top 5 spooky characters in WWE history? For me, it's Taker, Boogeyman, and Papa Shango. Taker, definitely. Definitely Undertaker. After that, spooky characters not really a thing I cared about. Like Boogeyman, yeah, I don't care. Jake the Snake at times, I guess. Spooky doesn't work on me. I fell asleep during Saw 2 because it was crap. Now I know that's not spooky per se, but it's hard to find something that actually makes me care. I'm a very chill guy. Very chill guy. Thank you, Megan, for the link. So if you want to check out Bray's Psyche Val, away you go. The word allowed is debatable, Jermaine, but I don't think Shayna would be willing to go based on that as well. And fair enough. Of course, Sonya Deville has been there. I'll always remember the fact that Finn Balor stopped being for everyone the moment he went to Saudi Arabia. We're getting some backstory in Legado. Horsey says, Eric Bischoff said Halloween Havoc was WCW WrestleMania, so would love it on main roster and not NXT. I don't know why he said that. Starrcade was their WrestleMania. Formal reintroduction to Zelina Vega, who was apparently playing PS4. Which I kind of love. She's really leaning into the Akasha vibe, but she always has. Hector says, someone on Twitter cheekily said Bray's out here feuding with a Red Dead Redemption character. Again, not wrong. So this is all-time spooky character for me. Post-90s Jerry Lawler, and not in a good way. Those glasses are too even. It's a silly little thing, but it doesn't look authentic. Hit row backstage watching on TV. That's a good opening line. Legado del Dummies, you've got to do better than that. Simon says, Liv versus heel Natty Xylee next verse. She's not in the world title picture. She'll be a world champion one day. She's very young. Yeah. She'll have championships again. The first championship reign is very rarely the best one. Horsey says, I sent WWE an email last week asking about new content on network like A&E, biographies, etc. and got told maybe next year, hopefully. Surprised I got a response. Me too. WWE typically just ignores emails. They do not have the same PR teams that they used to do. Traffic says, big respect for any wrestler who stands up for what they believe in and not take a payday to ignore it. Nothing against anyone wrestling on it though. It disappoints me slightly knowing so many wrestlers will go and wrestle on a Saudi Arabia card. I try not to hold it against them, but I do think I have a little bit of a bias there. I'm not happy about it, but I do have it. I don't apologise for what I feel, I apologise for what I do if I do wrong. Your feelings are never wrong. Your feelings are like uncontrollable. You feel how you feel. Rey Mysterio just made a kid's life. Okay. So Rey Mysterio versus Gunter will take place in 2 weeks. So that will be the... That'll be the go-home SmackDown, won't it? I'll be the go-home SmackDown. Makes sense. Much like the go-home SmackDown for Extreme Rules with an Intercontinental Championship match. They've just decided that the mid-card championships are TV specials, and you know what, I don't hate it. Also says, I was shocked myself, to be honest, Tom. Funny how fans in the US want network back, but we want extra content they get. Well, I kind of get it. I mean, I use the WWE network in order to watch pay-per-views, and it's great. Hector says, I just saw on Twitter they're selling Huskers to Pig plush toys at the arena tonight. They are indeed. Megan says, Gunter versus Ray, not on the Saudi show, get in. I don't always want the mid-card championships to be on pay-per-views if it means I get to watch them. You know? I'm pretty happy about the whole thing. Pretty happy. As we head into our final half hour, we currently have 29 people watching on YouTube and 21 likes. Please remember to hit that thumbs up. It does help us grow, help people find the show, find the channel, and find subscribers as well. If you've not subscribed yet and you're enjoying the content, please do consider hitting that subscribe button. It's absolutely free, and it means you'll get notifications every time we go live. This will be our final match of the show. After this, we'll have 2 commercial breaks and a whole lot of Logan Paul. There will definitely be some Jey Uso being involved there. Simon says, I think people know me as both a very good... Yeah, we know you like Liv and Sasha, mate. It's literally in your name about Sasha, we know. Also, he says, love the mid-card championships getting importance now, like US title under Cena. The US title under Seth is going to be fantastic. It's Seth Rollins. It can't fail. And Gunter as the Intercontinental Championship was a stroke of genius. He was brought up purely to win that championship, and it works. Simon says, will Scarlett ever wrestle? Yes. Yeah, it's that simple. She wasn't necessarily brought in as a wrestler, but Triple H was always open to the idea. If at any point she wants to wrestle, she will. It'll be similar to Zelina Vega. She wasn't brought in as a wrestler, but eventually became one. Lovely high pace to the match already. Wade Barrett just made me very happy. As unstable as the British government. Wade Barrett. This man, he gets it. Lettuce for life. Lettuce for life. And if you don't know why I'm saying lettuce for life, just accept it. I don't feel I can actually explain any further because it's just a ridiculous world that we live in. Megan says, Kaiser looks like he's been carved out of stone or something. I don't know how anyone can look as good as quite a lot of these wrestlers do. Actually, I do know how. It's constantly working out, which I'm not prepared to do. Also, I suppose they have to, though, Roman being part-time now. Yeah, fair. Very fair. Jermaine says, since day one is not happening, there's no TLC pay-per-view happening. Do you think WWE will just have a random Friday night and Monday Night Raw will be their de facto pay-per-view end of the year? Yeah, that's exactly what I expect. That's exactly what I expect to happen. In fact, I mentioned it earlier, I think, and spoiler warning. Halsey says, anyway, I'm off, Tom. We'll lurk for the last 30 minutes. Take care. See you Monday. Hit that like, people. Thank you, Halsey. I hope you have a great night, and I hope you enjoy yourself. Kieran says, eating 0 carbs as well. I still remember Dean Ambrose, when he was Dean Ambrose, holding a donut to Finn Balor and saying, God, man, eat a carb. I like chips. Is that a crime? Is that a crime? Is that a crime? I like chips. I can't live on just meat. Like, I'm not that guy. Not necessarily, Simon. We're way too early for Ben Carter, I feel. I've seen some of his work. He's good, but he's not ready to be fast-tracked. Also, let's be honest, there's not that much space on the main roster anymore. There's not. Hector says, I totally called a number on the Bray Psych eval, and I'm equally creeped out and fascinated at the same time. Kieran says, I love bread too much to not eat carbs. Sandwiches are just, Sean says if they do eat carbs, they work it off in the gym. Yes, and I feel that's what I'm not there for. Exercise. Effort. I mean, I don't know how many of you will remember the squats for subs that we did for like a month, but my thighs hurt. And it's your fault. I'm looking specifically at Connor here. It's your fault. My thighs were burning. Good times though. Like it paid rent. It paid rent, and I think everyone had fun with it, just making it horrible. But yeah, maybe that's what I need to do. Need to find some way to link streaming to exercise again in a way that doesn't burn me. Simon says the day one pay-per-view date has moved to a very big January 20th SmackDown TV taping a week before the Rumble. Dave Meltzer, the Wrestling Observer newsletter, reported today. Okay. It's not exactly day one, but I suppose they have to do a big show. I'd say that's what I was expecting, to have a couple of big Raws and SmackDowns in the build-up. It's the right way to go, if you ask me personally. If you can make every Raw and SmackDown feel that big, which you do by having championship matches, we had one earlier, you can make it work. And this is a solid SmackDown. We've had a little bit of Bray Wyatt, we've had more from Fight Night, we've got plenty more Bloodline. There is still a possibility that we're going to see Sheamus, Butch and Ridge Holland working to protect Logan Paul later tonight. I'll get a response from the crowd. We'll see how it goes. Sean says, will the go home for Crown Jewel be pre-taped, do you think? No. It's not the WWE way. It's more that it's going to be like bereft of talent. A lot of people won't be there who are key to the show. They'll find a way to make it work. Hector says, also Tom, when you call the number, it's Bray whispering the lyric to David Bowie's classic, The Man Who Sold the World. He's been playing with that one for a while. I know a lot of people are trying desperately to decrypt Bray Wyatt. You can't decrypt Bray Wyatt. You can't. A lot of it is intentional red herring. He knows what he's doing. It's one of those where afterwards he can say, well, I told you. He didn't tell you. He in no way told you. I like to just go along for the ride. I know enough about Bray Wyatt, the character, which is consistent, in order to be able to say I can work out some of it. And of course, if you've been listening to certain things that I've been saying, you'll get some more of it. But we got to get there first. And sometimes it's nice just to come along for the ride. Logically then, they're talking about Rey Mysterio versus Gunther 2 weeks from now. So let's say Rey defeats Ludwig Kaiser this week. It's literally final boss booking. Surely then next week we're going to get Rey Mysterio versus Giovanni Vinci. The only thing that really makes sense. Gunther and Vinci are staying on the outside. They're not getting involved at all. Pace is going up. Crowd are really into it. It does feel like there is a big moment coming for Rey Mysterio. It won't be a world championship though. Traffic says there's enough talent to be showcased live on SmackDown that deserves a spot who won't be in Saudi, so you don't got to worry about the scheduling for them. Very true. Very true. Simon says, your thoughts on Wrestle Talk, Tom? Their magazine no longer sells in W.H. Smith's newsagents. Not a fan of them, prefer Cultaholic. What culture to them? There is no point nowadays starting a magazine. I don't understand why they and Inside the Ropes decided to. There is no point whatsoever. When you've got a website, you don't start print. It's silly. It does not work. So I'm not surprised. As regards Wrestle Talk, I've seen some of their work. I was briefly invited to do some live work for them, and then they got a better offer. So yeah, I don't dislike the guys. I think decent enough, generous to me at times in the past. I'd say nice people. It's just that, unfortunately, the way you got to make money in this business is a bit too clickbaity. Whereas I think I could go full-time with 10,000 subscribers. I reckon I could be full-time there. That's not necessarily the same for a lot of people. Wrestle Talk, I know, have an office to pay for. They pay staff salaries and so on and so forth. It's not a hobby for them. It's a full-time job. Same with Cultaholics and What Culture. Nobody's getting particularly rich in these roles, I tell you. Sean says, will we get Zelina versus B-Fab? Yes, eventually. Simon says, Bray's best ever matches were with Danielson. Their in-ring chemistry was absolutely fantastic, brilliant. I agree. Bray Wyatt has not had a lot of amazing matches. He hasn't. But there are certain matches which certainly live long in the memory. Jaden says, I feel like a lot of the returns that have been happening have lost their... That's fair. The tempo's still high. Gunter and Giovanni eventually look like they're planning to intimidate Ray a little bit. Rey Mysterio has the chair. Gunter's not trying to do that, mate. Wait, what just happened? I think the camera work was just wrong there. Was Gunter supposed to push it back at Ray? Because he didn't. Is this Ray tricking them? That ref is really going for it. I am not convinced about what just happened there. Simon says, do you wish we saw more of Danielson in the Wyatt family? No, I think they played it perfectly. I think it's worth pointing out, the reason that you think so kindly of the storyline is because it didn't overstay well. It's welcome. Traffic says it can be said for a lot of people, though, their best match was with Danielson. Roman. I think Roman did great work with Daniel Bryan every time they got in the ring together. Ray pulled an Eddie Guerrero. Hector says, alright, Tom, what game do you think Zelina was playing on the PS4? Going to go on Mortal Kombat? I know she's a huge fan. She is a huge fan of Mortal Kombat. Likely so. She likes a good beat-em-up. She also likes a bit of Soul Calibur, to my knowledge. The crowd very loudly chanting 619. The beginning of the end for Ludwig Kaiser, I tell you that. Ray going for the finish. It is amazing. When Rey Mysterio was on Raw, he was getting lukewarm reactions at best. And now here he is, one of the biggest names on SmackDown, just like that. It is a win for Rey Mysterio over Ludwig Kaiser. Pretty obvious it was going to happen, but we got a great match out of it. I've enjoyed every match so far tonight. I'd like to see the tag match be a bit more even, but I don't know, I'm happy with this. It's a good way to rebuild Ray. So he can beat Ludwig Kaiser, he can beat Giovanni Vinci. He's not going to beat Gunter. I think we can be very confident in saying he's not going to beat Gunter. But a couple of wins on the way to that final boss booking makes him look a little stronger. Hey KJ, how you doing, mate? Great to see you. How are you with this this 2:45 in the morning over here in the UK? Jermaine says, I can see Ray winning one of the mid-card titles, then losing it to his son or Santos Escobar. That will probably happen later in the year or probably during WrestleMania season. I mean, it's not impossible that we see Ray with a US Championship again. Logan Paul is on his way out. He will be our main event segment tonight. We have one final commercial break. And then potentially, maybe something else a little bit from Bray. Simon says, do you think Bray has anything to do with Liv's new change of character? No. KJ says, hey Tom, I meant to ask you for a while, did AEW have any interest in Bray Wyatt? Yes. They were not able to strike a deal. Wyndham Rotunda was not very interested in coming back to wrestling at the time. He was quite down. And to my knowledge, when it comes to AEW, the deal wasn't very good. With WWE, he's got a hell of an offer. Like, limited creative control, but creative control nonetheless. which is something that Vince McMahon would never have even offered. Bray got a good deal. I need to stop drinking cherry coke now, otherwise I'm going to be awake until 4 a.m. KG says, Liv is a lot like Harley Quinn now, mixed with Hardy. Yep, there's been a lot of comparisons to Harley Quinn. It definitely seems like that's what she's going for. Hector says, they say a change of scenery can make a big difference, but Ray has looked like a completely different man since joining SmackDown last week, especially that move he did against Ricochet last week that led to the 619. A lot of that particular moves come down to the opponent. Ray has chemistry with Ricochet. He really did show that. Code says, is Bray part-time? Nope, Bray is a full-time SmackDown wrestler. Traffic says, imagine being a person paid to work and put a story together with Bray. That sounds like a dream job right there. You say that. Rob Fee wasn't necessarily brought in just to bring Bray's vision to life. He was also brought in to be able to say to Bray, no, 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 no. It's too much. Just no, no. Because someone had to be able to say no to Bray Wyatt. Kieran says, Ricochet versus Ray in Lucha Underground was great. Prince Puma all the way, baby. Simon says, Meltzer and The Observer reporting today that King of the Ring is coming back as a pay-per-view PLE next year. That's what I expected. I didn't expect a King of the Ring this year, but they do want to have it involved a bit more. It won't end in Saudi Arabia, I'll tell you that. We'll see as regards pay-per-view. Triple H, of course, was supposed to be a winner who never actually got around to it. Jaden says, I feel like they had such a big opportunity with Damage Control. Could have made them so dominant with Io, Dakota and Bayley, but now they just look too weak, and a win over Shotzi and Raquel isn't going to... I get what you're saying. They are not dominant. However, as I've said, this is Triple H booking. He doesn't like dominant characters. He doesn't. We are going to see a lot of big names losing matches. And that's okay. We have to get used to that because that's Triple H booking. That's what happens. I've been saying it for a few weeks, and I suspect I'll say it for a few more because it's going to take a while to get there again. No worries, Simon. I'm glad you're finding friends here. Glad you're finding friends. You're very welcome. KJ says Triple H has done a great darn job at rebuilding people and making others feel so much more important. A book full of talents have been revitalized. Guys from the top to the bottom of the card feel important. I wholeheartedly agree. Making Braun Strowman seem more vulnerable has been real good news. Roman Reigns back next week. Not for the go-home show, but I'm guessing Logan Paul will be there for the go-home. Ridge Holland and Butch versus Sami Zayn and Solo Sikoa. One of the things I'm loving about Triple H's booking is that we know what the next week's matches are going to be before we end the show. There were so many times when we'd find out what matches were on SmackDown on that SmackDown. Whereas with Triple H, the show appears to have a plan, I think is the right word. Whereas previously that it just didn't feel like there was any plan. Now it's coherent, now it's cohesive, now it's going places. Now it makes sense. Before one SmackDown ends, I'm excited for the next one. And it just feels very different. Traffic says, will Reigns come back happy next week or pissed at Jay for something he might try? Well, we're about to find out, but I would lean for the latter. Might also have something to say about Sheamus, of course. Non-displaced fracture. So the fracture hasn't been displaced. As long as it's not displaced, right? Here comes Logan Paul. Them's just booze. That's just booze. That's literally just booze. He's still acting like a face, but nope, you're getting booed, mate, and booed big. He's acting happy to be there. He can't actually be happy to be there. But people are still slapping hands with him. I don't know. Hector says, who do you see being Hit Row's third tag partner? Could this be an official third member or just someone random like Montez Ford? Could be anything, really. I'd imagine Ricochet or Madcap Moss are likely to be involved. Sean says, I wonder how the Ohio crowd will react to Logan since he's an Ohio boy. It's not as negative. It's still negative, though. KJ says, it makes sense, but of course they book a monster show when they're on FS1 and not Fox. Yeah, true. I wouldn't necessarily call this a monster show, but next week will be, yeah. Cheap pop from Logan Paul. Worked out pretty well for him. You should not have said the hard cams at home. What are you doing? There's some positive reception there. Simon says the US title feels like a world title now with Seth holding it. Lashley previously holding up very proudly to Cowboy Brock when confronted by him. He's gone for the hard cam. I do doubt you. Jaden says, why is Bianca so dominant then? I feel like she's too dominant. Because some people still will be dominant. Also, there's a lot of holdover from Vince booking. Like, she did lose to Bayley. Well, she lost the 6-woman tag match, but that's more vulnerable than she was for a long time. I mean, she went a full year without being beaten. So, we're getting there. But it is a case that Triple H will keep a couple of people separate from all that. Roman Reigns will be kept separate from all that. And that will mean so much to them. Megan says he's happy because the check's cleared for the appearance. Fair. That'd be a hell of a check. KJ says, who tags will Hit Row next week? Not sure. Not monster, but pretty big. Confirming Ronda and Roman is pretty big. Yeah, that's how you make a show feel like it matters. Simon, there's not a big undercurrent of hate building up in Bianca. There hasn't been any massive hate in that regard since Roman. Kieran says, is there someone you're surprised hasn't been used better under Triple H? Good question. You're not going to win, Logan. It's a good question. I'm not sure. I'd say Shayna, probably. Sean says, Rumble will be the next time we see Logan after the match with Roman. Yeah, I've mentioned that myself. Oh, Usos. Well played. Well, Jey Uso. Well played by Logan Paul, about to say something when he got hit. Jay's just going to go for him now. I am expecting that this show ends with Logan Paul on his back. I did mention. Hector says, with Nick Khan being someone who's good at cost-benefit analysis, I feel like it's when, not if, we see Logan's brother Jake Paul in the WWE. I have reported on that previously. It is. Jay is just on his own mission right now. Logan Paul not able to fight back. He's taken a beating here on my beat. He's gone again, which it did just a moment ago. I'm going to miss the entire thing. I do feel like Logan Paul needs to shut his mouth. And I don't mean like not talk. I mean that when he's selling, he spends a lot of time going. That's not what actually happens. If you get hit, you tend to go in rather than out. Kieran says, what do you think was actually Nick Khan's plan firing most of the roster? Creating competition for places and budget cuts. He genuinely wanted budget cuts. Yeah, they made a lot of money, but they could have made more money. And that's it. That's all it is. He just wanted extra money. Also, you've got to remember, it wasn't just Nick Khan's plan. He was doing what he was told by Vince as well. Vince could have overruled him at any time, and he chose not to. Apart from Bray Wyatt, he kept Bray Wyatt longer than Nick Khan himself wanted. It's a good sign, isn't it? It's a good spot. Yes, Simon, the suffering succotash line was terrible. Thankfully, that's no longer the case. No longer the case. Also, you'd think that made people more supportive of Roman, but here we are. Here we are. I am having to restart the PS4, so I may be missing something major here. You guys will just have to let me know what's actually happening. One day I'll have technology that works, but today is not that day. The WWE Network works perfectly. Perfectly. No issues whatsoever. I'd imagine Logan Paul is just getting his ass kicked. That there's a Sammy J issue happening. Megan says, I kind of like how Jay was like, sod what Sammy said, this brick is getting claimed. Too bad Logan had to get the final shot. I was kind of expecting, as it came together, that Logan would at least get a hit in. Because he was talking about, what if I win? I obviously am not seeing it. John says, was Logan versus Roman a match Roman wanted or a match Logan wanted? Neither. It was a match that Triple H wanted. They were told, this is the match, and then they were like, okay. That is unfortunately how it works in many ways. Jay White would not run in when it's Logan Paul involved. It's that simple. Simon says, do you think Logan does more wrestling or boxing in the future, Tom? Yes. Absolutely I do. Because it's making him a lot of money, so why wouldn't he? Also, he keeps investing in cryptocurrencies that then expire. It's not the cleverest thing. Still not working. Looks like I'm not going to be able to watch the end of SmackDown. Oh, you enjoyed it, did you, KJ? Thank you, Simon, for the update there. Hector says, Sammy tried to talk to Jay. Gave Logan Paul a chance to dodge Jay and sucker punch him. As it was playing out, that's kind of what I expected. I'm glad we got there in the end. But the thing is, you don't have faith in Logan Paul. No one has faith in Logan Paul to win this match because he's not going to win this match. They had to at least give the fans something to grab onto. Like, oh, well, maybe he will. He won't. He won't. But maybe he won't. Yeah, it's over. Great. But yeah, they had to give you that feel of, oh, but what? It's not going to... But what it... No. 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 But what if, though? They had to try and give you that moment just to wrap up. Ultimately, they're just trying to get to the end point. Same with anyone else. What can I say? We're going to wrap it up there. Huge thanks to everyone who joined us. It is 3 a.m. here in the UK now. Hope everyone enjoyed SmackDown. I thought that was a really good show, personally. We will be live again on Monday for Spoiler Warning. We'll also have a couple of videos up over the next week, some of which will be coming directly from Spoiler Warning and will be queued up over the next few days, and a bit on CM Punk as well. In the meantime, though, huge thanks to everyone who joined us, everyone who hit like, everyone who subscribed, and I hope everyone's had a great time, because I always certainly do when it comes to shows like this. I have been Tom Colohue, you have been fantastic, and I'll see you all very soon.